again, everybody. Welcome to Inside Golf. I'm Harry Donahue. Today, our mobile studio is right here at North Hills Country Club, and we're going to be talking about rules changes that went into effect the first of the year with our rules guru, Mr. Tom Carpus.
Harry, Happy New Year.
It's good to see you again, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
A new year, and we have new rules. Well, some rules have been refined, let's put it that way. But you, for 2 years, had been the executive chairman of the PGA Rules Committee. You've been involved in rules of golf for how many years? Back
since 1991, so 27 years of being a rules geek.
Do it here in this section. He's still on the PGA Tour Champions as a rules official. We'll see Tom on TV occasionally throughout the year. But today, since these new rules changes went into effect the first of the year, and we did a show with you last year when we knew they were coming. But a lot of people say we still need to know more about it. A lot of people in this area, of course, haven't been able to get out there and maybe implement the rules because of the weather, but they will soon, so that's what we're going to do today.
Yeah, it'll be here before you know it. You know, for April, right around the corner for our season. Of course, the snowbirds are dealing with it right now.
Absolutely. And we'll talk to Tom about some of the best changes, also what the average golfer should know. And is there any controversy already early in the year? A little bit of a controversy regarding some of these new rules changes. Back with our man, the rules guru, Tom Carpus, and rules changes next on Inside Golf.
Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf. 54 courses, 300,000 yards. Check them out at montcogolf.com. By the First Tee of Philadelphia. The First Tee helps young men and women become better golfers, but most important, better people. Get involved. Visit thefirstteephiladelphia.org. By the Golf Association of Philadelphia, GAP, celebrating amateur golf since 1897. By Jersey Man Magazine, it's a Jersey way of life. And by Philly Man Magazine, bringing it to Broad Street. By the Haverford Trust Company. Quality is in our DNA. And by Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia Section PGA, experts in the game and business of golf. Take time to thank your local PGA golf professional.
When I got back from the Gulf War, I was afraid to leave my house for 5 years. Clearview Hope and Renee Powell saved my life.
When I started Clearview Hope, I wanted to do all that I could to help our nation's women military veterans.
Renee, with golf, you have empowered all of us, and we just cannot thank you enough.
The best stories end in thanks. Share your story at ThanksPGAPro.com.
Everyone knows the 5 senses.
But what if we told you?
There's more. An elusive sensation.
Coaxed out only under ideal circumstances.
We can't fully describe it, but you'll know it.
When you feel it.
We call it the ultimate driving machine.
Take advantage of exceptional lease and finance offers today.
Welcome back. Inside Golf continues by the fireplace here at North Hills Country Club with Tom Carpus. And Tom, as we teased a little bit in the opening, we're going to take a look at some of these rules changes that went into effect January 1st, 2019. Probably the most comprehensive rules changes in golf dating back to the 80s, right?
1984 was the last change like this. I mean, this has been a 7-year process for the RNA and the USGA to get together, the most collaborative process in my lifetime. Every 4 years it used to change, but this thing, they included all the different allied associations out to the public for comment periods.
Yeah, they went, that comment period
great.
lasted almost a year, didn't it?
It was really good. I mean, and a lot of comments were sent in, and they took that into mind, and next thing you know, some really smart rules people got together, and out comes the new rules. And I think it's a very exciting time, because I can't ever remember a time where there's been more enthusiasm for the rules.
Okay. With that, we'll take a look at what Tom considers to be some of the best rules changes to help speed up the game, to simplify things and add a lot of common sense to it, right?
No question about it. That was one of the main things, was to how to adapt the rules to the modern golfer. Not just the tour player, mind you, because 99.99+% are the people that play here at North Hills Country Club and Kennett Square Country Club and at Cobbs Creek, where I grew up playing. That's where the game is played. So these changes, many of them are to adapt to today's golfer. One of the biggest, I think, really good ones is if you move your ball while you're searching for it or identifying it, it's not a penalty.
In the past, you were assessed a penalty.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, at the Ryder Cup last September, I was thinking of it as we had in our 4-ball match, we must have had 8 ball searches, because if you remember, narrow course, high grass, looking for balls a lot. And what would happen is, whatever team's ball we were looking for, the other team would tell those players, hey, be careful, let us look for it so you don't get penalized, because if they cause their own ball to move, they would get a penalty. And if you think about that, that's counterintuitive. But I think this is a really good change. It makes sense. You're looking here in the Northeast in the fall when leaves and everything, and you're looking for your ball, and you can now you've only got 3 minutes to find it. So now we're going to let you be a little bit more aggressive, and if you cause your ball to move, just replace it. Put it back if you don't know the spot.
No
Estimate
assessment.
it, no penalty, and play golf.
Okay, that's one. Give us another one.
The second one, which we actually have had by local rule the last 2 years, but now it is actually the rule of golf. So there's no need to enact it on your club local rules, and that is if you accidentally cause your ball to move on the putting green, no problem, put it back. And I think that's a good thing, especially with green speeds being the way they are. So if you cause your ball to move accidentally, which is going to be almost all the time, on the putting green now, it's only on the putting green, you just put it back.
Give us another one.
Ready Golf is now, I mean, it was always okay, but it was never really stated. We're now saying in stroke play, it's encouraged. You and I are playing, or we're in a tournament together, and I'm off in the woods, you're in the middle of the fairway like you always are, and even though it's your turn to play, if I'm ready, I can go ahead and play. Now there is a little bit of a caveat there that you want to do so safely and with courtesy. You still, if someone in my group says, hey look, it's my turn to play, do me a favor, just hold on a minute, I should allow that to happen. And I think most cases that will, but I think the fact that it's now encouraged, if I'm a fast player, go ahead and play golf. And in match play, you're my opponent, and I say, I'm not quite ready. I say, Harry, go ahead and play if you're ready. And you can do that even though it's not your turn to play. The only thing I lose is my right to recall your stroke.
Got another good rule change as far as you're concerned?
Well, I think the flagstick change is big. Okay. That's a big one.
And
I mean,
we're
people are talking about that. You could look,
about it.
That's probably one you could put in the category of some people thinking it's not good. They don't like it. They don't like the optics of it. But remember, back in the 60s, it was allowable back then. In fact, Christmas, they had the famous Shell's Wonderful World of Golf from Pine Valley with Gene Littler and Byron Nelson.
And Lord Byron.
And there's a hole where Gene Littler makes a stroke with the ball from the putting green and it hits the flagstick.
You know, we talked about how that flagstick rule already in a short period of time since January 1st has created a little bit of a buzz. We'll be back to talk about a little bit of that buzz and some other aspects of these rule changes going into effect here in 2019 with Tom Carpus next on Inside Golf.
This season, stay up, stay out, stay wild, stay cool, and stay together, because you don't have to go far to get away. Book your stay and receive offers of up to $250 at these premier attractions.
Everyone is looking for something. Consistency, quality, peace of mind. Found. The Haverford Trust Company.
And welcome back. Inside Golf continues. This week our guest is Tom Carpus. Tom, the former head pro at Kennett Square. He was the executive director of the Rules Committee for the PGA of America for 2 years and has been involved in rules practically for the last 30 years on a local and national level. And we just ended our previous segment talking about the Flagstick Rule. From now on, you'll be able to putt with the flagstick remaining in the hole. It's already created controversy, buzz, whatever you want to call it. I was listening to Hank Haney. He has a show on Sirius XM, and he's not a big fan of some of these rules changes. And he even went as far as to say that he thinks this rule, in particular with the flagstick, may be rescinded. Your thoughts on that?
Well, while I respect Hank Haney, I will respectfully disagree with him in that, look, I think the USGA and the R&A will be looking at all this. And will they be making tweaks down the road? For sure. I think you have to remember that you look at through the scope of the millions of people that play the game of golf, not the expert player. Expert player has a downhill putt on 15 at the Masters. I don't think they're going to hit that putt any harder because the flag stick is in. Because if they miss the flag stick, they've got real problems. So I don't know that it's going to affect how they make, their pace in many respects. I think you're going to see it more on longer putts to protect against the time where you just hit it a little bit too hard, perhaps. But remember, 99.9% of the golfers are like you and I, and a lot of it's for pace of play. I played a couple times right before the end of the year, and I played and I left the flag stick in, and it was great. I chipped it up close. I just tapped it in. I didn't have to take it out, pick my ball out, and go to the next hole. And it was good.
Yeah, to that point about hitting the flagstick, whether it's on an approach shot, a chip shot around the green, or now with a putt, sometimes that's not the best thing that can happen because that thing can ricochet off that flagstick, and you're going to be farther away than you'd like to be.
Sure. I mean, look, when I still play competitive golf, but I know if I was chipping from just off the green and I was trying to make it, I used to take the flag stick out because I wanted to see the hole. For me, mentally, it made me, because I thought I was going to make it. And taking the flag stick out was kind of my trigger point. Okay, I can make this. Well, we'll see. The top players, we'll see how it plays out at these major events. It'll be
interesting to see who does it and who doesn't, right? And whether they change over the course of 2 or 3 weeks. Let's stay on the greens. One thing that I just thought of, in addition to the flagstick rule, now players are able to pat down not just ball marks, but spike marks. And maybe what else would they be patting down?
Well, basically the rule now says you can repair almost any damage. Now, you have to be careful in that what we mean by that is to restore it. It doesn't mean to improve it. So whatever that green was when it was mowed in the morning, that's what it looked like. That was the playing condition. So over the course of a day, if somebody were to make some spike marks, go ahead and tamp them down. If the mower ran over an acorn and you could flick the acorn out with ease as a loose impediment, you can fix the indentation. Pretty reasonable when you think about it. Now you can't take your putter and make a track. Now you're
like
not
a trowel to the hole.
Sure. Now you're not restoring, you are improving, and you would be subject to penalty. So it's one of those, be careful. You can do some of these things, but also the other thing too, you must do it promptly. Doesn't mean you get extra time now that we're going to let you fix this damage on the putting green.
Some of the other things that you have in terms of what the average player should know, where the height of dropping a ball when you have to make a drop. It used to be, I mean, years ago, it used to be over your shoulder, a blind drop. Then they went shoulder height high. Now it's knee height. I'm 6'2", and with some questionable knees, it's a little awkward maybe for me. But so what does the average player have to know about that drop?
Basically, we're taking the window, so to speak, that was shoulder height before, because you could be a little high, a little low, and you were okay. And we're just taking that to knee height. And that is whether you are kneeling on the ground, your knee height is your knee height. So that's the height you must drop the golf ball. In that window, you could be a little bit too high, a little bit too low. Rules aren't going to penalize you for that. And the whole reason for that is they were trying to get to a point where you could place the ball everywhere, but they couldn't agree on that. And there was a lot of people, me included, that felt like maintaining the randomness of the drop was a good thing.
All right, stay with us. More to come on the new rules changes for 2019. If you're a USGA member, you probably already have this little rules book with all the new changes. And on the internet, Tom, there's also a way to get more information, right?
Yeah, USGA.org. Lots of videos, a lot of educational materials, workshop sites, a lot of good information.
It's all there. All right, stay with us. In just a moment, we'll be back with our teed off panel right here on Inside Golf. A big welcome back to Inside Golf and to Teed Off. We're here at the Bluebell Inn in Montgomery County. It's right on Route 73, Skip Pack Pike. Great atmosphere. The menu's fantastic, and it doesn't get any better in Montgomery County or anywhere than the Bluebell Inn. For more information, go to their website, bluebellinn.com. All right, joining us today here at the Bluebell Inn from the Philadelphia section, PGA of America Executive Director Jeff Zarette.
Harry, thanks for having me.
From the Golf Association of Philadelphia, the Vice President, and also Overbrook Country Club, Oscar Mestri.
Thank you, Harry.
And from the aforementioned Bluestone Country Club, Chris Gardner is the head pro.
Thanks for having me back.
Okay, let's talk about among touring professionals worldwide. Were there any that you saw made a kind of a big leap in terms of their career going forward? And then we'll get to the opposite end of that spectrum. Chris, since you're the head pro at Bluestone, you watch a lot of PGA Tour golf. What did you see? Who are some of the names you'd tick off in that category?
Try to watch on a weekly basis for the most part, and I think we've watched some of our young stars, both American and otherwise, but we've seen a lot of young Americans win some major championships lately. Some guys have gotten that first major victory, which is great. Justin Thomas is, I think that Tony Finau is a name that I think kind of caught everyone by surprise this year. I don't know if anybody thought he was a household name coming into the season, but after what he did in all the majors, I would say that he really took a big step. Internationally, Tommy Fleetwood is a name, again, that nobody really knew coming in, even though he had done a lot of great things over on the European Tour. I think Americans have finally met Tommy Fleetwood. And, there's many others, but those are the two that definitely hit me.
Oscar?
Well, I think on the international scene, Fleetwood for sure, right? Molinari had a season that he's no young rookie, but that really kind of raised his level in the game to a totally different conversation.
Yep.
So I think we have to take our hats off and acknowledge that. What he accomplished this year was pretty spectacular. And I picked a name that in my mind actually kind of came back from the dead. How about Keegan Bradley? Keegan Bradley was kind of the toast of the town several years back, and was very close to losing, his tour card. Really on the cusp of, taking the bus instead of flying to places. And his victory at the BMW was
at Aronimink
was spectacular. As much as I think the home crowd was rooting for Justin Rose, I think that there's no doubt that victory meant much more to Keegan Bradley than it did to Justin.
How about you, Jeff?
Maybe even to jump on it, and maybe it's just not paying as close of attention, but Webb Simpson, again, same thing, kind of tailed off. When they
had injuries.
Changed, he had injuries. The anchored putter. Change, so he had to kind of relearn, some of his golf game. He changed his golf swing considerably from when he first came on, even from when he won the Open out in California, right? So really surprised, maybe again, just not from paying enough attention to it, but had a great season. And, a couple of notes that you had sent to us, Harry, but, obviously Brooks Koepka, two majors, but
back-to-back Opens.
But then week to week, you don't hear much from Brooks Koepka, but then, he wins two majors, back-to-back Opens and then two majors in 1 year. So pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, Brooks Koepka had a great year. Of course, Patrick Reed won the year's first major.
Yeah.
And, Patrick, for better or for worse, brings along a little bit of, it seems, baggage all the time, because of other things going on around him. His family relationships aren't the best maybe, and You hear other stories that other touring pros aren't big fans of Patrick Reed. You know, that's a big obstacle when it comes to, I would think, he can say, oh, it doesn't bother me. It's got to bother him, doesn't it? A little bit?
He likes playing the heel a little bit. I think he plays off the crowd. I think he admits that even in the Ryder Cup format, but even in regular tournaments. I don't know if he was everyone's favorite at the Masters. I don't think everyone was cheering for him in that tournament, but he didn't care. Like you said, he hit the shots he needed to, especially in that final round. He definitely deserved it.
Yeah. Now, the flip side of guys who have taken a major step in the right direction, there's always those who, you know, are either kind of like holding on or dropping down. Who would be in your list
Well,
there?
I mean, it's hard to say that, you know, Spieth and his talent is holding on or stepping down, but there's no doubt that his career this year, you know, I don't think he would say he was pleased with his play. So, I personally was a little bit disappointed in his play, you know, but again, because you expect so much from him. So, to be fair, expectations are very high for Jordan Spieth. So he's dealing with, you know, a circumstance of his own success.
Sure.
And so I would say that he had to have been a little bit of a letdown this year.
Anybody you're going to be keeping an eye on to see if they can recover from a so-so year in 18?
You know what's a really cool story is Danny Willett. So, you know, after he won the Masters, he lost his tour card. But I think for the last 18 months or so, he's been working with Sean Foley and redoing his golf swing. I think he just had some success overseas over the last month or so. So it'd be really nice to see him, you know, get back into form. You know, when you see someone win a major championship and then really kind of, you know, disappear off the planet. You know,
right.
So something like that I think is always, you know, somebody you root for.
Do you think Tiger Woods is going to pick it up where he left off, which was winning the Tour Championship? Forget about the Ryder Cup situation.
Well, it's funny. It's a name we haven't mentioned yet. You would think that would have been the first name off our tongues. I think it's great, obviously, for all the reasons that everyone knows it's great for the game. But I think that he will play better than he did this year. I think he'll play, you know, more consistently. I don't know if he's ready to win 2 or 3 events in a given season, but I think he will start getting a good amount of top tens and hopefully continue to compete in majors near the top, because that's good for everybody.
Well, the Tour is certainly hoping so. TV's obviously praying that maybe they can see a little return to his greatness. Talk about Tony Finau. He should have been given the Comeback Player of the Week award down at Augusta, right?
Oh.
I mean, that nasty situation in the par 3 where he turned his ankle, looked like he broke it. It was all, you know, black and blue. He got some treatment, and it was Wednesday. It wasn't like he had 4 or 5 days to get treatment and rest. And he came out, and he was in competition up until the last round. So, I mean, Tony Finau showed something there. Yeah,
Agreed.
He's a special young player. All right, stay with us. More to come. Inside Golf continues.
Located in Bluebell, just a short drive from Plymouth Meeting, Bluestone Country Club offers a setting that's close at hand but feels like a world away. Bluestone offers a championship-caliber golf course, practice facilities including a large driving range, separate chipping and putting areas, and a staff of PGA professionals. At the Country House at Bluestone, you'll find excellent food, superb service, and an outstanding setting. Their expert staff will assist in planning your next event, whether it's a wedding or simply a luncheon, dinner, or cocktail party. Check out Bluestone's variety of membership options. Much more than a golf course, Bluestone is a community.
The first tee of Greater Philadelphia, where golf is more than a game.
This season, stay up, stay out, stay wild, stay cool, and stay together, because you don't have to go far to get away. Book your stay and receive offers of up to $250 at these premier attractions.
Welcome back. We're going to wrap up our show today on the rules changes with Tom Carpus. All right, a couple things that come to mind. We talked about the flagstick. We talked about patting down ball marks, spike marks. How about loose impediments in bunkers?
Well, big changes. Penalty areas, formerly water hazards, lateral water hazards, You can move loose impediments. You can touch the ground with your club. You can take practice swings, but you got to be careful you don't improve the conditions affecting your stroke. Bunkers, you can move loose impediments. You can generally touch the ground, but there still are a few restrictions.
Not on the swing.
On your where your ball lies, the area immediately in front of and behind your ball, you cannot touch the ground with your club. You can't touch the sand with your backswing for a stroke, and you couldn't do anything that would be construed as testing, practice swings, things like that. So there are still some restrictions in a bunker, but penalty areas, it's actually less restrictive.
How about where a caddy can stand as you're preparing to make a shot?
That's a big change. You know, a lot of times here in Philadelphia, a lot of clubs have caddies. And even this would apply to your partner too, but an extension on your line of play for any stroke, your caddy can help you line up, but they need to get out of the way when you begin to take your stance for the stroke. So when you begin to put your feet in, step in, put your feet in, that caddy has to be out of the way. If your caddy's there, when you begin to make your stance for the stroke, it's a penalty. And you can't undo it. With one exception, that's on the putting green. If you shoo your caddy away and you step aside and reset, you can avoid the penalty, but that's only on the putting green. Elsewhere, if he's there when you begin to make your stance, that triggers the penalty and you can't undo it.
Tom, thank you.
Harry, thank you. Happy
Always
New Year.
A pleasure. Remember, no matter how bad it's going for you out there, don't pick up on when it comes to golf.
Golf rules.
For Tom Carpus, I'm Harry Donahue. See you next time on Inside Golf.
Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf. 54 courses, 300,000 yards. Check them out at montcogolf.com. By the First Tee of Philadelphia. The First Tee helps young men and women become better golfers, but most important, better people. Get involved. Visit thefirsttphiladelphia.org. By the Golf Association of Philadelphia, GAP, celebrating amateur golf since 1897. By Jersey Man Magazine, it's a Jersey way of life. And by Philly Man Magazine, bringing it to Broad Street. By the Haverford Trust Company. Quality is in our DNA. And by Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia Section PGA, experts in the game and business of golf. Take time to thank your local PGA golf professional.